So my name is Kevin Terry. I was born and raised in Taos, New Mexico. I grew up in Taos in the 80s and 90s, um, on the banks of the Rio Grande. And a lot of, when I was growing up, a lot of what I did was fish with my dad. And that's what led me on my career path to be a fisheries biologist. The story I want to kind of start with is, growing up on the ditch in Taos, what I knew about it was in the summer it was wet. There's a lot of cottonwood trees. My brother and I and the local kids could just cruise around, chase frogs, chase animals, cruise around with our BB guns, have adventures, literally in our backyard, but feeling like kind of, a forest. And we could go along that acequia, like into other people's property back then. And it's probably a different world now, right? But back then it was just like you could go up and down that acequia as you wanted as a neighborhood kid, and someone might be like, "Oh, get out of here! Stop bugging the cows," or they might just be like checking on you a little bit. But it was really an easy communal kind of relations, right? And so that was my world with the ditch until I was about 12 or 13, and that's the time when my dad said, "Okay, now you boys have to come and dig the ditch with the rest of the community once a year, because you either, all the parciantes or water users on that acequia, they either go and maintain the mother acequia once a year, or you pay someone to do it on your behalf." That's kind of like the way it's governed. Everybody and every user has to take care of that main canal or main acequia madre. And so that's when I really started to get to know or to see the neighborhood. And it was like an immersion, where you're just like thrown out there, here's a shovel, and it's the whole system of, the grunts, the kids, we're in there deep, shoveling the mud. The old guys are leaning on the shovel, making sure we're digging correctly and doing the fun job, like burning the ditch. And then, occasionally as we pass each house in the neighborhood or each property in the neighborhood, as you clean that whole mother acequia, people come out and give you cookies or yell at the old man to be nicer to us. Especially for me as a first generation on the ditch, as a white boy, my family's from the Midwest. I'm growing up in a very Spanglish culture and world in the 80s in Taos, and very much a minority in some respects. And so, I'm wading through the Spanglish and the things I don't understand. But, at the end of those experiences, I knew more about my neighborhood and my neighbors than I did. And so further down the line, you see those people at other places in your community, and you realize that ditch tied us together in some ways. But it's simple, right? It's like, it's a lot of water users, but really when you all total it up, it's a few hundred acres. One thing that's fascinating to me about the acequia I grew up on, and something I didn't appreciate till now, is, this thing was established in 1750. Prior to the United States. And so that neighborhood, my neighborhood, has been using that acequia for so long that I didn't have pride or value in that as much as I do now. That's something that I reflect on a lot. I'm really proud of that old ditch. In the American West, everything from here forward is going to be water. The potential call in the future, downstream states that are building on a supply that hasn't been yielded, a dwindling supply, changing in timing. Around here, that's a big deal for us. Like, climate change and the timing of snowpack is a big deal for us. And so my feeling is that we should be doing more for people to connect to water. So I think, that's why I wanted to share the story with you, is that needs to be kind of highlighted more, in my opinion. But I'm a Norteño from Taos, so bias.